Well, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good, other than my computer decided that the sound doesn't want to work, so I'm sitting here with you on my phone.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
technology.
it, truly and dearly love technology. It makes my life so much easier.
Hmm. Yeah, you could hardly get that out before you about broke it. I was in a tizzy on Monday and left the big house and forgot my phone. And I have been but I have my watch phone. But trying to read text and do email on your watch is fool's errand. I don't
I wouldn't be able to probably do that too well.
No, but the good thing is I've got Duo security on my watch so that I can sign in and get my email on a laptop. So it's not been as bad as it could have been, but I just can't find the time to run home. It's just crazy. I've got three defenses tomorrow trying to beat the Friday deadline so that they won't have to pay but for one credit hour for the fall. We've only got 3 days. Classes start today and drop periods over Friday. And if they're not defended
Didn't
non-drop,
realize.
then they have to pay for a full semester, which is about a $2,000 deal.
I didn't realize it was that soon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not good. All right. So
Looks like we're maybe missing one person.
no, I've only seen three. We're supposed to have six, I believe.
Oh, yep. Okay.
All right.
Just went and checked to see if the ocean was still there despite the hurricane.
Oh yeah. What's going on with the hurricane on the coast?
We got a little bit of rain today. It wasn't too much. Um, but the ocean, I mean, the beach has looked different every day for the last 3 days because there's just been so much erosion already. Surfing's great.
Yeah.
If you're into that, I mean, it's much rougher than it was yesterday, but people standing on the pier were getting wet from the waves yesterday. They're so big.
Mm-hmm. That would be notice to get off the pier. Uh,
Exactly. And
yeah.
they've done a no swimming,
Yeah.
um, I think till Saturday. So, but you know, Outer Banks is getting it much worse than us. I've seen videos today
Yeah.
of water under houses and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, famous last words about 8 or 9 days ago. I was home and said that we wouldn't even it wouldn't even notice it going up the coast. And my wife said then, famous last words
Mm-hmm.
when they make those bold statements. I mean, at that time they were talking about it was going to go behind Bermuda. I think it came in between Bermuda and the coastline.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
So we're just getting some of the outer bands. It's a huge
Yeah.
storm.
Yeah. I wonder what's going on in Bermuda.
I have not seen anything with that,
Yeah.
but I'm much more weather aware
Yeah. But you kind of
than
have
I
to be at
was.
Wrightsville. That's true. Two, four, five. We got one more. Yeah. So, yeah. Um, you know, I got held up going to work this morning. They're still working on the roads here from Helene. Especially there's about when the Broad River comes out of it's the Rocky Broad till it goes into Lake Lower, and then coming out of the dam, it's the Broad River, and then just down about a half a mile below the dam is where it crosses over underneath the road, 64, 74, and then the road runs right along the edge of the river for, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles. And all of that got torn up during the storm. And they've patched and patched and patched, and now they're repaving that about a 5 mile section. where it got torn up so bad, and it's just so aggravating. And of course, they did the same thing over around the Green River on the Polk County side. That's a spillway dam over at Lake Adger. And it just came over the top of it and just washed everything out over on that side. And they've been patching that one, but they haven't paved it. They've patched it all for about a 4 mile stretch over there as well. So there's just, trying to get to Gardner Webb in the morning through all this has been a terror for the last, 8 or 10 months since this thing
I'm
has happened.
sure.
Um, and power and all those other things. Well, let's get started. It's 7:03. We're missing one. Y'all can turn your cameras on. Let's get started. How is everybody this evening? We hope you're doing well. Uh,
Well,
Good to see everybody. All right, so we've got a small group. This is what is this? The Super Six instead of the Magnificent Seven. This is the Super Six. We're glad to have you. I'm Dale Lamb with Gardner Webb. I'm the oldest rat in the barn, as y'all all know. Um, and so with me is, the beauty. I'm the beast. Is Dr. Anna Maraglia. Dr. Maraglia has been with me since she was a beginning teacher at Albemarle Road back in the day. And so we have taught this course, I don't know, for a number of years. Um, when I was the MELS coordinator, now the MSA. And so now I am the EDLS coordinator and I supervise the MELS coordinator. So it's still the same bunch. And so we'll learn something this semester. And this is a law class. And our goal every week is to not lose our house. We'll get sued probably if we get in school administration, but the goal is to win and not lose the lawsuit. And so this is a very practical course on law and finance, because finance is law. And so we'll have a good time this semester. We'll have some laughs if nothing else. And so before we go any further, have y'all been put into two teams of three?
no,
Okay,
not
we'll
that
do
I'm
that.
aware of.
All right.
We were from our last class.
All right.
Okay, I am just restarting, I guess, and
Okay.
so I was not put on a team.
All right. So do y'all want to figure out 3 and 3 or y'all want me to figure out 3 and 3? We need two teams.
Can Raquel, LaFaith, and myself be together?
That'd be good. All
Okay.
right. Dr. Maraglia is going to write that down. I'm trying to, but it's hard for me to see.
So Raquel, okay. And then, so that would then leave,
LaFaith.
that was Tamika, LaFaith, and Raquel are
Yep.
one group.
So I guess Kayla, Courtney, and Anna.
No, that's me.
Oh, okay.
So
But we do
we'll-
We're
have
missing
one more.
someone.
This is Diamond.
okay. So then we'll have Kayla and Diamond
And Courtney.
and Courtney. Okay. All right. The reason why I'm putting you into two teams is on case study nights, you do a team presentation. So y'all have to Zoom. Now, the good news is you don't have to do any Zoom peer reviews this semester. You'll do your Zoom time with one another preparing your case studies. We have four different nights you'll present. You'll present the same case study. Team A will present, then Team B, and then the next week B, then A, and we'll just rotate back and forth. And you'll present your case studies. We have 4 specific case studies. You have to work collaboratively. You can do a PowerPoint, you can do a Prezi, you can do a Canva. I don't care what you do, but remember, I'm old. Make sure I can read it. No small print, no watermarks, no colors, none of that kind of stuff. If I have to get my face up near the screen, that makes me mad as fire. So I want to be able to read what you do. Now, one of the things that's been going on lately in the leadership field at the master's and the doctoral level is we think that we can just create a good looking presentation and that's leadership. It is not. It's the knowledge that you bring. If you can't speak extemporaneously, if you don't know your topic, a PowerPoint or a Canva won't save you. You'll get savaged by the public. So you've got to get out of this habit of, I'll just make something that looks pretty. I don't really have to know anything. That's not how it works in leadership. So we'll talk more about the case studies, but we have our two teams, Team A and Team B, and you will divide up and do those. And while I'm talking about peer reviews, you only have to review one person in any person. You only have to do one peer review for each task of the OMA and the skip. We do have two evidences this semester. As you know, you're going to have to double up at least one semester before you're done because there are six evidences in 5 semesters. So this would be the semester where you have to double up. This is the longest semester. So this is when we do the OMA and the skip this semester. That leaves you the CAP to do in the spring, and then you would have the SOP and your competency folio for the summer. Now, remembering the summer, you only have 8 weeks. There's no way you can do more than one evidence in a competency folio. That will strain you to try to get both of those done in 8 weeks. So remember, just like from the town hall that you had a couple of nights ago, that the first deadline is 8 weeks for your evidences in the summer school, half a semester. So there's no way you can do two evidences and a competency folio, which is as much work as an evidence, in 8 weeks. That's not possible. And our goal is for everybody to graduate on time in August. So this is the semester that we double up. We'll go fast. We'll give you feedback instantly. We don't do the week turnaround. If you put it in today, you'll have an answer on it in 24 hours, whatever you do. We work on, now we're old Charlotte people. And we work on the 424. That means we'll get back to you no matter middle of the night, don't care. We'll get back to you within 4 hours and we'll have it fixed in 24. That's the Charlotte rule. So that we will get back to you. So we can go fast. So let's look at our weekly schedule. I'll share my screen. As you can see, we have the course laid out, what we're going to do every week, what you're to read in your books. And when I go through Blackboard, I'll point those out. But everything that we have every day that we're going to meet, everything that's due, your discussion boards that are due. Now, I don't put due dates on anything. You'll get to it, but you got to be grown people here and get to it by the time the semester's over with. Now you need to keep up with your evidences because people are doing peer reviews on you. Don't hold your partners up. But here's what we're going to do every week, and you can see that certain nights it's just, Wednesday, September the 10th, it's your night. Y'all are going to do the presentation of your case studies. And then the next one would be on Wednesday, October the 1st, and then Wednesday, October the 15th, and then November the 12th. That's the nights that y'all present your case studies. And again, you'll do it as a team. You need to develop them as a team. That's, collaborating to cover material is one thing. Collaborating to create material is another. That's another level of advancement. That's another tool in your skill set that you can collaborate with people virtually to create content, not just review it. So that's why we're not doing online peer reviews this semester. You've already mastered that. We're moving to the next level now, which is, can you collaborate and create a product? Can you create content collaboratively? That's the whole notion of the case studies this semester. All right, so here's the weekly schedule. It's in our shell. While I'm looking at these things, let me remind you that not only of your coursework, but as they told you last week, you remember you got to get you 100 clinical hours this semester as well. Don't forget those and document those on your spreadsheet. Make sure you do that just as a reminder. All right. Here's the peer review feedback template. Again, you only have to do, and probably if you twist my arm, probably all I'll make you do is just the OMA. We probably won't even do peer reviews on the skip. So that means you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4. You only have to do 4. And you only have to do one task for one person. And we won't even do peer reviews for the skip. There's no sense in that. Once I see that y'all can do those and y'all are reading them, then that's good. We don't do stuff just to waste time. School administration's a busy business. You got to learn to get, We could all do better if we had more time. You got to learn to do it and move on and not revisit it 1,000 times. Uh, all right. And we've already done the weekly schedule. All right. So let's look at our Blackboard shell. You've already done your town hall. You've already had your meeting. We've got to introduce yourself so that we can get your personal information if we need to contact you. Again, here are the 2 textbooks for the class. The law book, quick reference guide, you will keep this one. This was a good one. And I've got an Amazon link if you want to purchase it. If you want to not do the Bulldog bundle, which I would highly recommend. My job's not to make Barnes and Noble any money. You can buy these 2 books on Amazon for $100. I think the Bulldog bundle costs you how much? $300 or $400 this semester. Opt out of that and just buy these on Amazon if you can get them. Here they are. The link for $40 and the link for $60 for $100 for both of them. No sense in spending more than that. Here are your 2. Now you do need these. These are good. You will read these. They are wonderful references. All right. And so course navigation, you've already met us. Course syllabus, course schedule, you've already got that. Grading policy, graduate handbook. Here's the handbooks. Peer reviewing, I've already told you. Here's the template. Again, it says right here's the process. It tells you just do one. Zoom teams aren't required. And as I said, I'm going to cancel the skip task 1, 2, and 3. We're just going to do the OMA this semester. And here's the template. We're going to go over it. Dr. Maragula is going to go over it in a minute. Here's the example. We've even given you an example, giving you several examples. And here are the drop boxes to put them in as you get them done. And she'll give you feedback on them, and you'll work with here. Here's where you put your peer reviews. Here's where the task and the prompts are for the skip. Here's the example, graphic organizer. Here's the drop boxes. And as I said, I'm going to take those out. I'm not going to make you do, but the others, I think it's just 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
Better
it's
than I
just
thought.
3.
We're just going to do 3 peer reviews. Just going to do 3. Just to make sure that you got a hang of it. And here are your case study materials. You'll put your PowerPoint for your group right here. So it would be one presentation. You do it collaborative. Everybody uploads. Now, don't say, well, Johnny uploaded one for us. No, everybody's got to upload the group PowerPoint. And then you get to do a personal reflection that only Dr. Maraglia and I can read, where you can say that, Kayla did a great job or Tamika didn't. That's when you get to tell us how it went with your team. Now, if you'll remember back to 601, y'all learned how to run a PLC. Norms, expectations, all those things. This is where you get a chance to put that into practice. So each week, somebody different should be the leader of the team and lead everybody through this collaborative process to do the PowerPoint. Now, what I don't have is an example of one. I'm undecided. I might put you one in there. And here's Bobby is the first case. Here's other things that you might need to go along with that. You might want to read the high school handbook when they talk about Bobby's can't do his work and had to cheat because he was having to practice too much. Well, that's not true according to the high school handbook. There's a limit on that. And, Bobby got put out for the whole year over cheating. Well, is that according to the federal government? That's illegal. You might want to know some of that kind of stuff. Now, the week before we have your case study, we'll cover this, and I'll tell you the answers to all the questions. And so here are all of those, and then here are your discussion boards. And they are embedded with your modules. So here's your discussion board for this week. Locate copies of your school's crisis and emergency plans. Read chapters 1 and 2. Right here's the directions, and then you post it right here. Now, you don't have to you can just write this out. You can just type it in. You don't have to do a narrative or a big production or a paper or whatever. This is an iterative process where you go in and locate copies of your crisis emergency plans, read the chapters 1, 2, 3, and from that you assess your plans. And I'd write, well, our plan is really good. It was easy, it was accessible, it had all the stuff in it that we needed to know, or we couldn't find it when we found it. It was 10 years old, didn't even have the right teachers, that kind of thing. Just tell us the story here. These activities that we have you doing link to your clinical hours. You can count these as clinical. We got you doing stuff that you would do for clinical hours, but you need to know where your school's emergency plan is. You need to assess it. This is all practical stuff. None of this is theoretical stuff. This is all coming and going to and froing. You might want to read all of these to make sure that you could start kind of planning to do some of these. So when we get to module number 2, you will have another discussion board. Right there it is. Examine the field trip policy for your district. Find it. And then here's a scenario. What would you do according to that policy if you were supervising the field trip and the car hit the bus from the rear? You had a traffic accident. What would you do? This is important stuff. This is the kind of stuff that you need to know to keep from losing your house, your job, and your house. Because this is the kind of stuff you get sued over. You don't know where your crisis plan is. Just like when at Butler High School, when the kid came in the lobby and shot another kid and shot him in the graveyard dead right there in the front yard, everybody just run. Nobody knew what to do. There was kids scattered all over eastern Mecklenburg County and in some parts of Union County. I think they ran so far. They didn't do their crisis plan. They didn't know their evacuation plan. There's 3 different evacuation plans for all schools. They didn't know which one they were using. It was just a disaster. And the superintendent lost his job over that, other than he was a village idiot already, but that was kind of the icing on the cake. So that's what we're talking about. You have a car wreck. First thing you do, you call 911. Well, might be bad publicity. You call 911. Well, I was given medical attention. Are you a medical doctor? No. Well, then call 911 and get the people there. That's the kind of stuff you got to know, because your good intentions won't carry you very far when you're in the dock, as they call it, in the witness stand, when you're being charged with negligence. So these are real things. Here's your assessment inventory checklist. We'll cover that when we cover the law, that you have to do that twice a month in writing. If your district doesn't have a checklist for your campus, here's one you can use. I developed this one for Charlotte years and years ago. Crisis box, what it's supposed to have in it. Module 3. Discussion board 3. Reflect on the fact that the educator has been financially responsible for professional action, inaction when an injured student or adult proved that the professional action led to the injury. There's tort. What that means is, since 1992, when I was principal in Burke County, we've had tort liability. That means you can be sued individually. You can lose your job and your home and your personal property. Your district won't just take it on the chin if you do something negligent, if you engage in misfeasance, malfeasance, or nonfeasance, some form of negligence. There's 3 types. Misfeasance, you did the wrong thing, you didn't know it was wrong, but you did the wrong thing. Malfeasance, you knew it was wrong, you did it anyway. And nonfeasance, you had a duty to act and didn't. Just like you had a wreck on the bus. It was your duty to call 911 and you didn't. That's nonfeasance. You had a duty to act and didn't have that. You need to be able to reflect on that. You need to know that. You need to know that if I don't do the right thing, whether it was intentional or unintentional, or if I just, pull a Homer Simpson and don't do nothing, as Homer says, that I'm still going to get sued and lose. And so you'll need to look at each of your discussion boards under each weekly module and map those out, what you're going to do. All right. So that's an overview of the course. So let me stop right quick. You have your weekly discussion boards where you go out and do something. But again, we've got those maps so that you can count that time, not only as bringing information back to the class, but you can count that as your internship time towards your 100 hours. You're going to have 2 evidences, the OMA and the skip. You're only going to do 3 peer reviews task. The first 3 tasks 1, 2, and 3 of the OMA. We won't even do peer reviews on the skip this semester. We'll use this class shell for you to upload your work. Now, if you get behind and need to work individually, Dr. Maraglia will work with you in her shell. You also have a 697 shell with her, and she can work with you in that shell to give you extra support if you get behind in your evidences. But again, at some point, you have to double up. The plan was always that it would be the longest semester, which is the fall. So we're doing the OMA and the skip. You have 4 case studies. You will divide into 2 teams to do those. I guess that's about it. So that is an overview of the course this semester. So I will pause and catch my breath before Dr. Maraglia takes over. Look at me. I finished 5 minutes early on my half.
Aren't you
But
doing good tonight?
I am. I'm going fast. We try to stay within our hour. Dr. Maraglia is now going to talk to you about the. Can you share your screen, or I need to?
If you will, please, that would be
All right,
fantastic
I'm
due to my
prepared.
technical difficulties this evening.
I know that's hard to believe, but I am prepared.
All right, as Dr. Lamb mentioned, there are some great resources for you on in your Blackboard shell when you are starting to work on your OMA, and then when you get to the point in the semester that you switch over to start working on your skip. You need to go ahead and get started on your OMA. Your first draft it needs to be coming into us 2 weeks at the latest. The sooner you can get going on it, the better you will be, the less stressful you will be at the end of the semester. With the OMA, for task 1, which is where you're going to start, your OMA, you're going to be looking at as a contextual analysis of your school. And task 1, that's what you're going to discuss in narrative form. You're going to look at some of the different characteristics of your organization. It could be the culture. It could be the history of your organization, anything environmental, anything that makes your school distinctive and unique. That's what we're looking for when we're looking at a contextual analysis. And again, if you look at your OMA template and some of the information there, it lays it out for you very specifically, but you are analyzing the context of your school. When you move into task 2.
All right, before we go any further, we're going to cheat again.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with cheating. Underneath week 1, module 1, I have put you some goodies. I've put you a template, a guide, an example. I've also put you a list right here of the things that you will need in order to do what Dr. Maraglia was just talking about. Right here's the things. This is the context of your school right here. This is everything that puts your school in context right here. She's talking about cultural right there. Teacher working condition survey or advanced ed survey, your report card, your test scores, your EVOS report on growth, your school improvement plan, your master schedule, duty roster, supervision schedule. Now, duty roster is during the day. Supervision schedule is after school, like for after school activities. Duty rosters like bus duty, car rider duty, lunch duty, that stuff. And your latest accreditation report. This is the context of your school right here. That's what you need. So again, go under tonight, module 1. I have all these things where you can cheat right here. Items needed for task 1. Here's your template. Here's your guide. Here's your examples right here. And here's a quick and dirty. Now, this is the way I make PowerPoints. Right here is how you do master scheduling. If you need to know how to do when you have to assess the master schedule, the master scheduling process, not the schedule itself, but did they follow this process? So right here, is the process. Right there's the master schedule rationale. Did they follow that process when they developed the master schedule at your school? Right there. Right here it is. So again, that's the kind of PowerPoints I make. But all these things right here under tonight, I have put in here for you to make this much faster than it normally is. Back to you, Dr. Maraglia.
All right, so once you get through your contextual analysis, then you're going to be looking at your instructional capacity building. And you're going to be looking at the ability that your school has to use the resources that you have to engage students and deepen learning. So you're going to be looking at instructional knowledge, any tools or materials that you use within your instructional program, what type of instructional relationships you have with within your building, and any organizational structures that again are going to support instruction and learning in your school.
All right. Now, here's the hack. Here's the cheat on that one.
And I'm glad you're going to say that instead of me.
Yeah. Well, I get to.
I know.
All right. I need somebody who will give me permission to look at their app tail. Let me stop. Let me stop my share here. Who wants to be the volunteer tonight while I cheat right quick? Anybody give me permission to look at their app tail?
I don't mind. It's been a while for me, so I'm not sure if you still have access to it, but yes, you can look at mine.
All right, I'll try that.
Okay.
I'm not on screen share right now. I am. Let me go to task stream right quick. Do you remember what semester you admitted in, Kayla?
2022, fall of 2022, maybe?
Fall of 2022. All right. And you were Kayla Baker then?
Yes.
All right. I can look you up and make sure.
Thank you for being brave.
Not a problem.
Come on.
While you're doing that, Dr. Lamb, I'm just going to remind everyone that you're going to submit all your work in your class shell. You'll only use my shell is if you do find yourself starting to fall behind, or if we need to do a little bit of extra support for you, we'll use that. But you're going to be submitting all your work through your class shell, not the internships shell.
Yeah, that's just an extra level of things that we don't need to do. We go fast. Y'all have gone slow for 2 semesters. It's time to go fast now. All right, let's see. Kayla Baker is in the MSA 20 Spring 23. All right, let me go to MSA 20 Spring 23. All right. MSA 20 Spring 20. That's the wrong one. Go back there. MSA 20. All right, I got it. All right. All enrolled authors. Anytime period. All right. I have pulled hers out of task stream. So you pull yours out of task stream, or if you've got it on a disk, let me share my screen now. All right. All right. You take all this stuff off of it. You take the prompt stuff, anything that's from the app tail, you just take it out of task one, prompt one. Take all that task and prompt stuff out.
And any headings and labels as well. Make sure
Yep.
you take all of that out.
All right. So now you've got tasks 1 through 3 of the app tail without any labels or directions on it. And then you come in here and you do this. OMA task 2 description. You can take this out. You can take that. You can leave that. You can leave the prompt now. And just do that. And there it is. That's OMA task 2. How long did that take me? And I'm old. If you
And
look,
what
the directions are exactly what you did in the app tail. There's no need to, we're just going to repurpose it. And see, we just saved ourselves 2 weeks right there. Took what, 10 minutes?
and go ahead and once you've got task 1 done and submitted, go ahead and start working on your task 2.
Just, you saw what I just did right there. That's it. That's all you have to have. Then you move on to task 3. And so while I'm thinking about it, get that out of the way. I don't know why that's not attaching right now. Looks like my email is frozen right now. Yeah.
I guess we're both having technology issues.
As you can see, it's not working. I'll send you that in a few minutes as soon as it starts working again.
Okay, thank you.
So that's all you have to do. Let me go back now to where we were with let me get this out of the way. That's why I download all my documents before I start. All right, then that moves us to task 3.
Okay, so for task 3, you are going to look at your master scheduling process, not just your master schedule itself, but you want to look at the entire process for developing that master schedule, because you want to be able to assess the strengths and weaknesses of that process. You are going to, for example, you do not need teacher input necessarily on the master schedule, but because you are gauging how much teacher input is built into the scheduling process, you want to look at that and at what point that input is allowed. You want to make sure that you're following the rationale for a master schedule, which is going to be federal. You want to look at your federal laws, your federal guidelines, your federal programs. Then you want to make sure that you are following any state guidelines. You know, federal, then state, then local. What local initiatives have to be included in that master schedule? And is your master scheduling process allowing for those initiatives to be integrated into that master schedule? Then you want to look at EVOS. You want to look at your data, not just student data, but you want to look at teacher data. Are you utilizing your teachers effectively? If you've got a teacher who has a history of doing really well with Math 1 and showing a lot of growth with your students in Math 1, is it going to make sense to move that teacher into another class, into another program? And then the fifth thing that you want to look at for your rationale is teacher input. And that doesn't necessarily mean giving Mrs. Baker exactly what she wants to teach, that she gets all the honors kids, but you're looking at teacher input in terms of, are there some students that might not do as well together? Are some students that do really perform well in the same classroom type of thing? Are there some things that have worked very well that teachers can give you some input on that you want to continue? So those are the rationales that's the order of the rationale you want to follow as you are developing your master schedule. And then you are going to look at, how can our master schedule be improved? And you are going to create a master schedule following this rationale, and you will include that as part of your task 3 for your OMA. So you're going to assess the process, then you're going to look at the master schedule itself and what you've learned from task 1 and task 2, which is going to be looking at different pieces of this rationale. You're going to create a new and improved schedule for your school. Some of you may have always wanted a chance to do that. Maybe you are seeing some things in your building that you already can kind of recognize. I think if we made a few adjustments, this would work better, and we would see improved academics, improved teaching and learning for our students. And then for task 4, that task 4 is going to be a reflection of your experience as you have processed through the OMA, and as you have assessed the strengths and weaknesses of your class scheduling process and your class schedule or your master schedule itself. And you also are going to reflect on how you have been developing in the area of the different competencies that we are wanting you to develop in through this program. You know that you have your 21 competencies communication, change management, customer focus, delegation, all of your 21 competencies. You've done work with those through 601 and 602. And you're going to reflect on how you have developed those competencies through this OMA process. So that is task 4. And then once you've gone through task 1 through 4, you're just going to put everything into a final narrative, and then you'll submit each task, but then at the end, you will put everything together and submit the final narrative to us.
Mm-hmm. So, as a reminder, it's just like you've been doing at the end of every evidence that you've done so far. Here's Kayla's from when she did the APTEL. At the end, you do the reflection based on your competencies, just like she did. Now, over the course of this semester of the 2 evidences, we have 21. So we ask that you do 12 on this one. If and then that would leave you what, 9 for the other one. You can get more competencies out of the OMA than the skip, but between the 2 of them, you got to hit another round of competencies this semester of all 21. So if you do 12, don't do the same 12 for the skip, do the other 9. But again, here's an example. This is what you do at the end of every evidence. Task 4 is no different, and task 4 will be the same for the skip. You just write your reflections at the end. Now, before we move on to the skip, I want to go back and look at one particular thing that always trips students up. Again, that master scheduling rationale, that's under tonight. I've given you that so you can look at that rationale. Let's go back and look at this one right here. I always wait till we kind of go through, and then I come back and pick some of the things where we always see problems. This one right here always tends to be a problem. When folks are doing task 1 and doing the internal analysis of their school, the contextual analysis, this is the internal now, clearly describes the school's budgeting process and procedures. Within this description, participation of school personnel and the school improvement team is delineated. So now let me explain to you what those 2 things mean. Because if you get this wrong, it kind of goes wrong the rest of the way. So I'm even going to stop my share. First thing, do not go to the school bookkeeper. That's not budgeting. That's accounting. What is budgeting? What's the difference between budgeting and accounting? Budgeting is how you plan to spend the money and the decisions on what we're going to spend it on. What is accounting? That's just we keep records of what we did. I don't go to the school bookkeeper. We do not want to know to see the accounts for your school. We want to know in the decision making, in the leadership part, what was the process for setting up the budget for your school? Who decided what we were going to spend the money on? Not who kept count of it and wrote the checks. I don't care about her. I don't care what Miss McFarland can't help us. Miss McFarland was the financial secretary when I taught school a million years ago. She sat in the office and smoked and bitched all the time. That's all she ever did. And so why would I want to know about how to keep a ledger book and write checks? I want to know who's deciding to spend the money and who made that decision. And the second part of that is, what role does the school improvement team have in developing the budget? If your school improvement team is not involved in budgeting, what's the chances that you're going to fund the school improvement plan? Same as my hair growing back, none. It's possible, it's just not probable. So we want to know, does your school improvement team, did they get a seat at the table when we're deciding how we're going to spend the money? That's the important part. State law says they're supposed to. Supposed to be an equal partner in that. But I'm gonna bet some of you are gonna come back and say our principal decides, and nobody on the school improvement team knows anything about that. I'm gonna bet somebody in this group, and out of 6, will come back and tell us that. You know that's against the law. The school improvement plan has to have an equal seat in planning how the money's going to be spent. That's what that one is about. We want to know who was in charge, who made the decision how to spend the money, not accounting for it once we'd already made that decision. That's the financial secretary. She's not making that decision. How much input does your school improvement team have in the budgeting process? Just like Dr. Maraglia said, we're looking at the scheduling process. Are you following the right process? Are you following the legal rationale that you're supposed to? Do you do your federal programs first? Then I'll follow the state law, local board policy, EVOS, and then teacher input. Or do you do like, this is one of my interns somewhere out in the middle of, well, you go about halfway between Raleigh and Wilmington and just make a left and go like you're going over the tops across the state. I mean, you don't even know where you are. Your GPS just sets and spins. You know, even the convenience stores have closed. I mean, you're out in the middle of nowhere. And I was trying to find this school and I was in the middle of nowhere. My phone didn't work. My GPS didn't work. And I was just driving around. I finally went up a man's driveway and through the back of his carport and got to the school that way. Can't make that up. And I got there and I had to wait for an hour to see the principal. And then I had to go back 2 weeks later and meet the new principal. He was in the process of losing his job the day that I was there because an audit team showed up from Raleigh to audit his Title I, his federal money. You don't break federal law but one time, then somebody else gets the opportunity. So when he did his master schedule, he had scheduled out his school. The third grade teachers came to him mad as fire and wanted him to balance out the loads. They had 30 in their rooms, and the Title I teacher didn't have but 12 in hers. Title I's federal program. Only Title I kids can be in that room. And he'd give in and put, I think it was 15 kids in her room that weren't Title I because teachers wanted it that way in the master schedule. And guess what they did? The Title I teacher did. She picked up the phone and called DPI immediately. And they were there the next day on the doorstep doing an audit. He got to go home that day and didn't have to come back. And so are you following federal law first, then state law, then local board policy? Then are you following your EVOS data and having the most appropriate teachers, the most appropriate things, and then teacher input, and not on who gets to teach what, but what kids ought not be together. You got to understand, we won't look at these processes. The only thing worse than having a bad master schedule is trying to change it. Because then the half that was happy are now mad, and the first group that was mad, they're not any happier. That just because you changed it to suit them, they're still mad too. Now everybody's mad. Not smart. The way you get a bad master schedule is you don't follow the process. You don't follow the rationale. Is your school following the rationale? Is your school following the law and how it's deciding how to budget and spend money? The bookkeeper doesn't know anything about that. That's an administrative decision. Those are the things that we want to know. You need the skills to run school better than a lot of the places you're working in now. And the reasons why they're no better than they are is because people don't follow the law and the rules and don't understand that the process determines the product or the outcome. And just trying to change the outcome won't fix things. It just makes it worse. You know, that's one of them things when you're in a hole, quit digging. When you got a bad master schedule, you need to change the process, not the schedule. That's what we're trying to get you to determine in the OMA. Are you doing things operationally correctly at your building? Now, you don't have to go out and tell everybody, but you know, sometimes working at a bad place, you learn more than working at a good place because you see the mistakes that people made. You need to become a good operations person, how to run a school efficiently. That will lead you to success, is if you can operationally run your school. I am an operations person. You know, I don't, hope is not a plan. You must plan and follow your plan, and you must follow the law. You know, that we've been doing it that way for the last 100 years is immaterial. As soon as you get mad and somebody complains, then nobody can give you permission to break the law. You must follow the law and the rationale and the policies. That's what we hired you for. your number one job is to follow the law and policy. At some point in an interview for a principalship, you'll get asked if there's a law or policy that you didn't agree with that you think hurts kids, would you still enforce it? And the answer, don't even pause when you say yes. Because if you say no, that's the end of it. You'll never get a principal job. That's what we hired you for, is to follow law and policy. That other people didn't do, it's immaterial. They can put their house at risk if they want to, but not you. So that is the OMA. We've got all the materials either under the OMA or under tonight. We've got all the tricks. You saw the trick of the trade on how to do a quick and dirty OMA task 2, which leads you into 3. You do your reflection in 4. We go fast. Don't let this take you forever. You need to have OMA task 1 knocked out in 2 weeks. Takes you 15 minutes to knock out task 2. You should in 2 weeks. You should be into task 3. That's why they said this is the semester we double up. The evidences are much shorter this semester. They lengthen back out next semester. The 2 this semester are very, very short. They're not as long as the APTEL together. That's why we pair them to double up. They are quick and dirty. All right. I see that we need to go back and we need to talk about Dr. Maraglia. You're back on to talk about the skip. Let me pull that one up. I think I've got it loaded up here. Here we go.
Okay. All right, everyone, for the skip. And if you'll notice what SKIP stands for, Stakeholder Community Involvement Plan. So by looking at that, you should already know, okay, I've got to create some sort of plan here that's going to involve stakeholder and community involvement. So for task 1, you're going to do another organizational analysis. But how you are going to conduct that analysis for task 1 is that you're going to form a SKIP team. And I know you have some experience from your previous courses of pulling together a team to look at the needs of your school and making improvements in your school. And what you're going to do with this SKIP team is you're going to conduct a collaborative needs assessment, and you're going to look at where do we have gaps in communication between school and home or any of our external communities, and what opportunities do we have where we can increase involvement between the school and your external communities and get everyone involved in decisions that have a direct impact on your community and your school. And so you're going to lead this SKIP team in conducting this needs assessment to determine the climate of your school. So that's task 1. In task 2, you're going to look at what resources do we have that would help us improve our communication. What physical resources do we have? What human resources do we have? What funding is going to be necessary to accomplish our goals, whether they're in the short term or the long term, as we work to establish this plan. And then not only to support our goals, but how are we going to sustain as we move forward? Task 3, you're going to develop a marketing plan based on the results of that needs assessment, your organizational analysis results, and the resources that you have identified. And then task 4, as Dr. Lamb has already mentioned, is going to be very similar to what you've already had to do for your task 4s. It's going to be a reflection. What have you learned going through the SKIP process, and how does that relate to the competencies and how you are learning and growing in regard to those competencies? So it's an organizational analysis, resource identification, a marketing plan, and then your reflection.
Excellent. Now, again, there's always, in the very first prompt, there's something that trips you up and gets you going down the wrong path. I think it's almost intentional. All right. Here's the biggest problem with this one. The candidate will lead the SKIP team to conduct a needs assessment to determine the gaps in communication. And then they'll start with looking at academics, or they'll looking at something that this is not about academics. We've moved away. We're in operations now. I don't want to see anything about we got gaps in our math scores. We got gaps in our reading. This is not about academics. This is gaps in communication. Go straight to your teacher working condition survey, the parent portion, and look at those questions. That's where your data is at. Do a needs assessment on teacher working condition survey or advanced ed parent survey in South Carolina on that parent section on communication with parents. That's what we want. We don't want gaps in your reading scores. That's not what this is about. Gaps in communication. If you get that right, this will not take but a minute. But you got to get that part right. You got to know what gap you're looking for. Gaps in communication. It's just that simple. And again, just go to teacher working condition survey and look at that parent section on communication. There's your needs assessment right there. And then you can do it. Now, for task 2, use the modified graphic example, where all you got to have for task 2 is your specific activity and your action plan, your timeline, persons responsible, resources, fiscal and human. And then when you do task 3, your marketing plan, right here, you just use the full one. This is 2 and this is 3. You just fill out the next 2 columns is all you have to do to finish from 2 to 3. Easy peasy. And I'm sure I've got that thing hidden somewhere. Let me look. Quit. Get out of the way. So let me go back. All right. Skip. Right here. I got them right there for you. Use the partial for skip 2. I've got it right there. And use the full one for 3 right there. And here's your example. I've got a North and South Carolina example. Easy peasy. So you ought to be able to knock out 2 and be quicker than doing the AppTel the first semester with 5 different components. You notice there wasn't a lot of collaboration. It's a lot of data collecting, and you can do this. You can put whatever your team is. Y'all can knock this out quickly. But again, on the skip, make sure you're just looking at the gaps in communication with your parents. You're not looking at gaps in your academics or any of that stuff, subgroups. You're not disaggregating data. You're looking at teacher working condition survey at the parent sections, or the parent survey in South Carolina in the parent section on communication. That's where you pull your data from. All right. We'll talk more about case studies next week, and we'll jump into the actual content of the class, starting with disciplinary data manual and some of those things next week. Who were we missing tonight?
I think it was Simon Williams.
Has anybody, again, that name?
Is it Diamond?
Diamond?
Yes.
Okay. So has anybody heard from Diamond? Let me look and see. She said she emailed me. When did she email me? I have not seen that. Or maybe she did. Let me look.
She had volleyball tonight, is what's
That's
in the
right.
chat.
That's exactly right. I was thinking that was in tomorrow night's class. That's my mistake. She did email me. I had a note for tomorrow night for some reason, but it was for tonight. That's great. So she's already been in and I was just going to make sure. What I'm worried about, not her missing, I'm worried about is for some crazy reason, drop ad is over with on Friday. If you hadn't verified, they'll drop you. And then it's an act of Congress to get back in, and they charge you fees and do all that stuff. So make sure that you have gone in and done your course verification. I pulled it out and put it at the very top of our shell. Let me go over that again. Make sure that you go in and verify right here. It's at the very top. I put it up here myself, right here. I pulled it out and put it up here. If you don't verify, they'll drop you on Friday, and then they'll charge you to get back in. So don't let them do that to you.
And I know that we heard from everyone in the first discussion post about sharing your information.
Yeah.
So, and since she reached out to you, I feel like that is her intention, is to be in the course this semester.
Yeah. Yep. She's got volleyball tonight. That's okay. But for some reason, I thought that was tomorrow night, but that was tonight. That's exactly right. Y'all have to keep up with me now. I'm old. I forget stuff.
But we do appreciate you letting us know if you do have something like that that was to occur on class night.
Yeah, we worry about you. This is most fun that I have, is getting to be with y'all, and I miss you if I don't get to see you.
And we have such a small group.
Yeah, but y'all will get to talk more that way, or y'all should. All right, our time is up for the evening. I want to thank you all for joining me. We started at 7:03. We're ending at 8:03. We stay on time. School business is about being on time. Bell ring, go to class. Bell ring, go to the next class. You got to get in that habit. Whatever time you got, that's what you use. And we could all do better if we had more time. So I appreciate you being with us tonight, Dr. Maraglia. Thank you, as always, for keeping me straight. She kind of minds me, keeps me from getting too far down the rabbit hole. We've done this a long time. We love this. This is my favorite thing in the world to do, is teach school law. Big as I am, I'd rather do this than eat. So I will not miss on Wednesday night. I will always be here. And we will always be prepared. Again, I will turn your work around within 24 hours, no matter when you send it. You call my cell, I'll answer. You send us an email, and we'll get back to you. You know the service that you get in the MSA program. It better be the best, because this is the best program in the state, and so we intend for it to maintain that standard. I've been doing this is my 15th year being in charge of the MELS program. I developed this online program, by the way, and I wrote the evidences. Me and my students, the first group that I had back in 2010, wrote these six evidences that you have, and got them validated at the Scale Center in Stanford. That's why it's called the Scale Handbook. And so this is like my baby. So this is serious business for us. Dr. Maraglia is like my youngest daughter. She's been with me for 30 years. I know she don't look that old. She's already retired from public school. Uh,
But
so
I'm still working. So if I do not answer, if you call me, I will call you back, because I am full time in a school. So I do want you to know that if you get me, I will call you back as soon as I can.
we'll get back to you one way or the other. All right. Anybody have anything for the good of the group tonight?
Dr. Lamb, can I speak with you after?
I beg your pardon?
Can I speak with you after class? I
Yes.
sent you a chat.
Okay. Yeah. What I do is I stay on and I turn the recording off. All right. Is everybody else good? All right. Tamika, you can stay with me. All right. Give yourself
Thank
you did a
you.
great job tonight. Thank you.
Good night.
I'll
Thank
see you next
you.
week. Let me make sure I turn the